By the time I'm recording this video, we will have already received word of the latest Dark Magician support as world premiere OCG cards, as well as in Battle of Chaos, the booster set following Burst of Destiny. Easily one of the best cards in that set has got to be the Ritual Monster that lets you search your deck for just about any Dark Magician related monster. Needless to say that the archetype is slowly but surely becoming more and more consistent. With that right support, I expect it to be at least a tier 2 deck. I'll be discussing the Battle of Chaos and World Premier's OCG support in a near future video. In the meantime, I want to take this time to acknowledge the awesome Dark Magician support this game has so far. Now, as a forewarning, I understand that one or two of the cards in today's list are indeed splashable in other decks, but I will be speaking about these cards in the context of what good they do solely for the Dark Magician archetype. With that being said, here are my top 5 Dark Magician support cards so far. To start things off, my number 5 pick is Soul Servant. Take a look at the archetype and you'll notice that a few of its cards depend heavily on top decking. Whenever I played Dark Magicians, I was always worried about how I wouldn't top deck the card that I need. Fortunately, Soul Servant lets me get away with it. Now players get to top deck literally any Dark Magician related card they want, and in some cases, unbreak their hand of cards they currently don't need. Finally, Palladium Oracle Mahad can be top decked and freely special summoned. Of course, running Mahad isn't for everybody, but I'm personally happy that Mahad is slightly easier to be played the way it was meant to be. My number 4 pick is Dark Magical Circle. Back when I first built Dark Magicians, it was crucial to max out on copies of Circle, not only because the deck needed as much consistency as possible, but also because it was one of the deck's first viable forms of disruption. Nowadays, there are more strategies and boss monsters that prevent any form of targeting or banishing, so Circle may not do as much as it did 5 years ago. Still, I say that Dark Magical Circle remains key to giving the archetype the grind power it needs. For my number 3 pick, wouldn't it be great if we had some way to search Circle, Soul Servant, and all of these other great Dark Magician spells and traps? Well, we have Magician's Rod to thank. In the same way as Circle, Magician's Rod is a key power card for Dark Magician players to reach for the cards they want. Back in the day, the idea behind Rod was to normal summon it so that way you can search for illusion magic, and therefore you can tribute your Rod in order to net yourself 2 copies of Dark Magician. Now Rod has far more options to choose from. Plus, its ability to recycle itself in the graveyard is nice, meaning that you have a chance to search for your crucial Dark Magician spells and traps during each of your turns. Now we are getting to the good stuff. The spot for my number 2 pick goes to Magician's Souls. This card is crazy good. Now, as I said earlier, despite this card's past splashability in other archetypes like Spiral, I am speaking in the context of what good it does for the Dark Magician archetype itself. Nonetheless, Souls lets players tutor Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl out from the main deck, since it sends a spellcaster from the deck to the graveyard as cost. Its flexibility is what makes the card so good. You can either freely special summon Souls, or you can special summon the Dark Magician monster you just sent to the graveyard. And as a result, cards like Thousand Knives and the Dark Magician board wipes can then be used. Bringing out Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl has never been easier, and I'm glad that Souls is around to give them the spotlight they deserve. Before I get to my number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions. I don't predict Dark Magician players running Apprentice Illusion Magician as often as before, but it's another nice searcher for Dark Magician. Plus, it's a pseudo-honest for Dark Spellcasters, and it can be special summoned while you set your graveyard up with cards like Servant and Magician Navigation. Bond between teacher and student is one of my personal favorites since players can easily bring out those board wipes I mentioned earlier, and it's a reverse Sage's Stone. While Stone brings out Dark Magician, Bond returns the favor by bringing out Dark Magician Girl. My last honorable mention is Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. This is the absolute first Dark Magician monster that acts as Dark Magician both on the field and in the graveyard. Dragon Knight also provides protection for Circle, Eternal Soul, and the rest of your back row. Therefore, I consider it to be the archetype's first ever viable win condition. But it can be argued that Dragon Knight doesn't even compare to my pick for the number 1 Dark Magician support card so far, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. The fact that you can splash Dragoon in other decks is why it's so hot right now, but it does feel good knowing that Dark Magician and Red Eyes decks have a boss monster to add to their own arsenals as well. Non-targeting destruction with buffs, disruption for your opponent, soft once per turn effects. That's why I had to name Red Eyes Dark Dragoon as the best Dark Magician support card so far. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment below with what your favorite Dark Magician support cards are. And be sure to check the description for my socials, including links to my Twitch and my Discord. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you all have a majestic day.